Welcome to the Instagram stories for Monday, January 13th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Typically on Mondays, I talk about what the head of Instagram shared on his Ask Me Anything. I do have the clips from his most recent Ask Me Anything, but I'm going to save them for a future episode, probably later in the week. Instead, I want to talk about the latest news around the TikTok ban, specifically the Supreme Court, the hearing that was held last week, some of the arguments that were made back and forth about the ban, and also I will play a clip from the head of Instagram talking about their goals for 2025 in light of TikTok potentially not being in the United States anymore. All of that and more, but first, a word from our sponsors.
Dreaming of buying your first car or new home? Knowing your FICO score is the first step to making it real. With MyFICO, you can check your score for free, and it won't hurt your credit. You'll get your FICO score, full credit reports, and real-time alerts all in one simple app. Your credit score is more than just numbers. It's the key to building the future you've been working toward. Visit myfico.com/free or download the MyFICO app and take the mystery out of your FICO score.
Your personal information is being sold online right now, not by hackers, but by data brokers, companies you've never heard of that collect your personal information and sell it. There are hundreds of these sites gathering your phone number, home address, your relatives' information, even your browsing activity, and once your data is out there, it spreads fast. That's why scam calls know your name. It's how strangers can look you up in seconds. And trying to remove your data yourself can take hours per site, with no guarantee it stays gone. Aura does it for you. They automatically find your information and send removal requests to over 200 data broker sites, then keep monitoring to make sure it stays gone, because your data can be relisted at any time. With Aura, you can even see where and when your data was found and removed. The longer your data stays out there, the more it spreads. Try Aura for free at aura.com/hidden. That's aura.com/hidden to try Aura for free.
Last week, lawyers representing TikTok and ByteDance argued in front of the Supreme Court that endorsement of the law banning TikTok could potentially enable statutes targeting other companies on similar grounds. I'm going to play a clip from the oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court, but the person that you need to know is named Noel Francisco. He represents TikTok and ByteDance from a legal perspective. Here's the clip.
But there are a lot of companies in this country that have foreign owners, not just companies like Politico, which is German-owned, or Al Jazeera, which is partly owned by the government of Qatar.
I understand that, but what would be the reason for drawing that line?
Sure,
because there's a good reason for saying that a foreign government, particularly an adversary, does not have free speech rights in the United States, why would it all change if it was simply hidden under some kind of contrived corporate structure?
Because it is a U.S. speaker. I'll give you another example. AMC movie theaters used to be owned by a Chinese company. Under this theory, Congress could order AMC movie theaters to censor any movies that Congress doesn't like or promote any movies that Congress wanted. And I think the reason is that here, where it's conceded, you actually have a bona fide U.S. company. It is not simply a Chinese cutout that is the Chinese government speaking itself.
All right, let's say that's not a
United States company.
Let's say this is not a complete answer to your First Amendment argument, but would you be willing to concede that this is a very important factor that should be taken into account in deciding whether there's a First Amendment violation?
Well, Your Honor, I think that it does help supply a compelling governmental interest, but I still think you have to march through the strict scrutiny analysis and analyze their interests. I do not think that they have a compelling governmental interest in the manipulation of content. I think that is in the teeth of the First Amendment, and if you look at the government's brief and the rest of the record in this case, that's really what it's focused on. Their complaint is the fear that the content could be critical of the United States government or could undermine our democracy. Yes.
Okay, now that you have a little bit of the context of what the Supreme Court is asking Noel Francisco, the lawyer who's representing TikTok and ByteDance in front of the Supreme Court, now the Supreme Court justices ask about who is actually controlling the TikTok algorithm. Is it TikTok themselves, or is it ByteDance, the parent company? Here's Noel Francisco's answer.
Mr. Francisco, I just wanted to follow up on that line of questioning with just some fact questions, because it seems to me there are a couple of things that the parties still dispute about facts in this court, which is a little unusual. The government says that TikTok US has no authority or ability to alter the algorithm or recommendation engine, but must simply follow ByteDance's directives. You disagree with that in your reply brief.
Yes,
somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong about that. What's the fact? What does the record show?
Well, Your Honor, we are here on a record, and there is nothing in the record that says that TikTok, like any other subsidiary, doesn't have its own independent making authority. If you look at their record sites, what they point to is the ordinary types of control that a parent company has over a subsidiary company, but it doesn't change the fact.
All right, what is the fact? Are you prepared to make a representation?
Yes, Your Honor. The fact is that TikTok Incorporated, as a U.S. company, does have a choice over the algorithm. Now, it would be an incredibly bad business decision for them to abandon this algorithm, and they very doubtful would ever do it, but they have that authority. What they clearly have the authority to do is shut down the platform in the face of Chinese pressure. That's actually what they agreed to do in the National Security Agreement. I think that underscores why TikTok Incorporated, as a U.S. company, does have its own set of First Amendment rights.
Okay. And then another fact question. Before the D.C. Circuit, you argued that the Chinese government has made clear in public statements that it would not permit a forced divestment of the recommendation engine. Does that mean that some key component of the recommendation engine is under Chinese control?
No, Your Honor. What it means, and this might warrant a little more explanation, what it means is that there are lots of parts of the source code that are embodied in intellectual property that are owned by the Chinese government, and they would restrict, like the United States restricts the sale of those types of things to foreign governments. It doesn't alter the fact that this is being operated in the United States by TikTok Incorporated.
Okay.
So
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, and for the last clip I'm going to play, here is the Supreme Court Justice asking about the divestiture of TikTok. If it would be sold to a United States parent company, what would be involved in that, and whether or not it would have been possible to do it within the 270-day time frame that TikTok was originally given.
And then you represent that the divestiture is not feasible within the Act's time frame. I'm sorry for these fact questions.
Sure.
I just want to understand what's before.
Yeah.
Would it be feasible in any time frame? I take the government doesn't dispute that it's infeasible in the 270 days provided by law. But would it be feasible
Your Honor,
at all?
I think, at least as we understand how they've interpreted the qualified divestiture provision, it would be exceedingly difficult under any time frame for two principal reasons. The first is that there's a global team of engineers that are some in China, some in Europe, some in the United States that maintain and update the original source code. And as we understand their interpretation, a qualified divestiture would prohibit any kind of coordination with that global team of engineers. The other reason is because, as we understand how they're interpreting it, a qualified divestiture would divorce the U.S. platform from the global content. So, for example, there are videos created in the United States. There are videos created in Ireland. In order to get global content, we need access to the Irish videos. They need access to the U.S. videos.
I got
We
it.
understand that couldn't happen.
Okay, so you think it's probably not feasible in any timeline?
Well, Your Honor, I think it'd be extraordinarily difficult.
Okay, last fact question, then I'll yield the floor here. The government admits that it has no evidence that TikTok has engaged in covert content manipulation in this country, but says that ByteDance has responded to PRC demands to censor content outside of China in other countries. Again, you deny that in your reply brief. Somebody has to be right about that.
Well, Your Honor, the problem there is everything that follows what you just read is redacted, and so I don't know what it says. What the record shows is two things. The record shows, first, what you just said. They haven't done anything here in the United States with respect to TikTok Incorporated. And second, the record also shows through our transparency reports that we haven't removed or restricted content on the TikTok platform in other parts of the world. And TikTok doesn't operate in China, it operates in other parts of the world. We haven't removed or restricted content at the request of China. That's what we put out in our regular transparency
Removed or
reports.
restricted, though, doesn't necessarily cover covert content manipulation, though, right?
Well, Your Honor, I'm limiting my response to what's in the record.
Okay.
It's very difficult for me to respond to things that I don't know what the accusation.
Okay, that's all the audio I'm going to play from the hearing, but the Supreme Court is expected to release their decision within the next day or two. As soon as I know more, I will, of course, share it on this show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, is going to talk about the platform's plans for 2025. Stay tuned.
Find your sense of place this spring with Pura. Each scent is inspired by memory and destination. From lavender fields in bloom to coastal mornings under soft sunlight. Designed to transport, the collection brings fresh, seasonal fragrance into your home, so every room feels like somewhere you'd rather be. Shop now at Pura.com. That's Pura.com. Isn't it time to find your sense of place this spring? Try Pura and bring fresh, seasonal fragrance into your home to find your sense of place this spring.
Welcome back. A lot of people make resolutions or goals that they want to accomplish in the new year. For instance, some people in 2025 want to have abs. They want to see visible abs at some point in their life before they die, and they've decided that 2025 is the year. That's just me. Here's the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, talking about the platform's goals for 2025.
A quick note on 2025. Now, I think this is going to be a pretty busy year, not only because we've got a lot going on Instagram, but because there's a lot happening in the world right now. So I wanted to stress that at Instagram, we're going to be focused on two things: creativity and connecting with the people that you care about. Now, Instagram was really founded on the idea of allowing anybody to share something creative that they were proud to share. And so we want to double down on that by making sure that our creative tools are best in class across the board, which they are not right now, by embracing new technologies like AI to allow more creators to create more content that they're proud of, and by trying to reward creative content more by ranking on things like originality. But we don't just want to be a place where people who are creative share and other people passively consume. We want people to connect over the things that they discover on Instagram. And so in terms of connecting with friends, a few more things that we're going to focus on. Doubling down on messaging, which, by the way, is the primary way people share on Instagram today, even though a lot of people don't think of us that way. We're also going to look for more ways to make recommendations and consuming content more interactive and more social. And we're going to be exploring some new ways to connect with your friends on Instagram. So a lot more to come around creativity and connecting with friends. Let me know down below in the comments what features you'd like to see us work on first. See y'all soon. It's going to be a busy year. Peace.
Okay, a couple of things I just want to touch on. First, he talked about the importance of messaging on Instagram. Just because your content may not be getting a lot of likes and comments publicly does not mean that people aren't sharing it in the DMs. And if you have something that people want to share with their friends privately in the DMs, you know you are on the right track. Second, he also mentioned AI, and I feel like every executive who works in corporate America, especially in tech, who can work AI into a presentation somehow gets an extra bonus week of vacation. I'm all into AI too, but we don't got to mention it every single time, do we? Okay, that's it for today's show. I will continue to keep you updated on not only the TikTok ban, but social media strategy as a whole. Keep coming back.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager, but do not have a bachelor's degree. But actually, that's factually a fraction of me. And other fractions posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency. But I got a lot of spam, just putting in my work without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.
Security program on spreadsheets, new regulations piling up, and audit dread? It's time for Vanta. Vanta automates security and compliance, brings evidence into one place, and cuts audit prep by 82%. Less manual work, clearer visibility, faster deals, zero chaos. Call it compliance or call it compliance. Get it? Join the 15,000 companies using Vanta to prove trust. Go to vanta.com/com.
Dreaming of buying your first car or a new home? Knowing your FICO score is the first step in making it real. With MyFICO, you can check your score for free and it won't hurt your credit. You'll get your FICO score, full credit reports, and real-time alerts all in one simple app. Your credit score is more than just numbers. It's the key to building the future you've been working toward. Visit myfico.com/free or download the MyFICO app and take the mystery out of your FICO score.